All right, we're going to continue now on page 101 of your history book, right here. Let's read this. Yesterday we learned that the reasons for going to the New World were for the advancement of the Christian faith and the glory of God. So let's read this page 101 together. We'll read the regular part of the text first, and then we'll read the part at the top. What was the purpose of the Mayflower Compact? The Pilgrims knew that their colony could not exist without civil government. Those from the separatist congregation understood individual self-government. Are you following along with me? You should be. Right here. But they knew that all men might fail sometimes to govern themselves. Some of the strangers, that means the people who weren't part of their fellowship on the Mayflower, had already threatened mutiny. Their colony could only be preserved if the people lived in an orderly manner. If they didn't have order, the colony would fall apart. These wise people understood that they needed to establish a civil government which would control individuals when they failed to be self-governed. Establishing a government was for the general good. It would benefit everyone within the colony. If everyone governed themselves and nobody took what wasn't theirs, would we need to lock our cars, lock our houses, lock up our bicycles at the store? No. But not everyone is self-governed, and so we have to do things like that. And laws are the same way. Not everyone chooses to do the right thing, so there have to be laws to tell us what to do and not to do, and what the punishment is when we break those laws. We'll talk about that a little bit more in a minute. According to the Mayflower Compact, what authority belonged to the people? The compact stated that laws, ordinances, acts, and a constitution could be framed, that means written, framed or written. However, any laws or constitutions were required to be just and equal. Each person must be equal before the law. Laws could not favor some of the colonists over others. The compact also provided for offices to be established as they were needed. Offices like governor or mayor or president, although they hadn't thought of the president yet. This allowed the people to elect men to positions of authority in the colony, people who would lead the colony. After the compact was signed, the newly formed colony chose John Carver as their first governor. Bradford's history described Mr. Carver as a man godly and well approved among them. Well approved means everyone knew him very well and they knew he was a good man and they approved of him being their leader. All right, hold on just a moment. All right, let's review. What is civil government? What is government? Remember, we have this thing on the wall here. Government is direction, control, and restraint to protect our life, liberty, and property. Civil government versus church government or some other government means government of the people, of the citizens. So that's what civil government is. Romans 13, 3 and 4 has a little thing to say about civil government. Let me read it to you. It says, "For rulers hold no terror for those who do right, but for those who do wrong. Do you want to be free from fear of the one in authority? Then do what is right, and you will be commended. For the one in authority is God's servant for your good. But if you do wrong, be afraid, for rulers do not bear the sword for no reason. They are God's servants, agents of wrath to bring punishment on the wrongdoer." Think about that. So according to these verses, who should be afraid of the government? People who aren't following the laws. Who should What should happen to those who are doing good? They should be left alone to keep doing good. But what must happen to those who do evil? They have to be punished, stopped. And where do we get our standard of what's good and what's evil? How do we know exactly what's good and evil? God's word tells us what's good and what's evil. And that's where we get it from. Now we're going to draw this illustration. We've drawn this a lot before, but it's very, very helpful. So you have a blank piece of paper in your packet that just says civil government at the top. Nothing else on the page. So let's draw the illustration of what it's like when we have lots of self-control and not much. So here's your paper. It says civil government at the top. We're going to draw two illustrations. So draw two big ovals, kind of flat circles, one at the top, one more at the bottom. Kind of like this is the middle of the page right here. Okay, pause the video if you need time to do all that. So, under this one, you need to write, leave yourself room to write. We're going to write government, much self-government. So, much self-government requires, I'm printing this so you can see it, little civil government. Plan this out better than I did. Make it fit on the page. Maybe only draw your top circle first. If you did, I'm sorry if you drew both of them already. Then draw another circle, oval rather, and under that write little self-government. Can you see what I've written? I'm going to bring you a little closer. Little self, and you may print this if you want. I will let you. Government requires much external civil government. Sorry, I'm getting a little sloppy with my writing here at the bottom. It's hard to write. Let me try that again. Requires much external civil government. So let's illustrate what this looks like. The inside circle, you can do it in a color or just do it all in pencil. This inside circle represents self-government. Self-government on the inside circle. And the outside circle represents civil government. So you see these two ovals are the same size, but if you have a lot of self-government, then you don't need a whole lot of control from the outside. This is, self-government is internal. So the internal will affect the external. This is external. But if you have very little self-government, let me just going to put SG for self-government because I can't write in that tiny little circle, then you will have lots of civil government. If you choose not to govern yourself, there need to be all kinds of rules and laws to make you do the right thing. If you just choose to do the right thing on your own, nobody really has to say much to you. Let me show you an illustration we had back at the beginning of the book. You probably remember this picture. This is on pages 26 and 27. You can turn there if you want. The boy here, he's looking at God's word and using what's right and wrong according to God's word to govern himself. And so what's going on up here? His parents look pretty happy. His teacher looks pretty happy. And the government's just there, just in case. Over here, he's choosing to, see the look on his face, he's saying, I don't know if I want to do those laws and follow those rules. I think I should just be able to do whatever I want. And look what's going on around him. His parents look worried. His teacher's looking at him, giving him the look. And here's government, and there has to be a policeman and rules. No this, no trespassing, warning, stop. Don't do something dumb, you'll hurt yourself or get in trouble. But they have to all be controlling him because he's not controlling himself. So that's what this picture is talking about. With lots of internal, there's not much external that we need. With very little internal, you need lots of external. Lots of civil government on the outside. And that's what's happening right now. We have a lot of people in our country, not a lot of self-control, not a lot of self-governing. So,